Hey guys, I'm taking a break from work and I'm just about to make some lunch. And while I cook, I thought I would talk about something that I have been thinking about that I think is super interesting. And it's the question that I want to ask is, and I don't have an answer, but it's just something that I want to ponder in this video. Why are we terrified of silence? Why are we terrified of stillness? Why are we terrified of peace? So I've noticed this tendency in myself where I just always want to be busy. I always want to fill the space. I can never just allow it to be quiet and peaceful. By the way, I'm making potatoes, eggs, and avocado for lunch. What I mean is, like, we constantly have this habit of filling the empty space that is with picking up the phone or putting in the headphones or eating something or drinking or smoking or chatting with somebody, or I don't know, I'll be working at home in my apartment all day, just kind of like with this anxious energy, like wondering what I should be doing, pacing around, moving really quickly, and there's all this mind noise, and all of it is just so uptight and anxious, and it's so rare that I get a break from that. But what I experienced when I did 4 days of silence in my apartment recently, I did a little bit of a solo meditation retreat, is I was able to cut under that noise and actually give myself that break and actually become embedded in just peace and stillness. And what I noticed is underneath that noise, if you go a layer deeper, it is so quiet. It's so quiet when you're not scrolling, when you're not excessively worried, when you're not excessively stressed, when you're not filling every single moment with noise. What's underneath that layer of noise is just this incredible peace. You can hear the birds chirping in the distance, and you can hear cars honking in the distance. You can hear the subway rolling by. I live in New York City, that's why I'm using those examples, but you can hear the dishware of neighbors clinking and people chatting, and it's just so quiet. And I can't help but wonder, why are we so afraid of that? Because when you actually get there to that peace and that stillness, it's amazing. It's like the best thing ever. But we seem to be afraid to just be alone with ourselves, so we have this tendency to just fill all of the space with stuff. Consumption. And I've noticed a pattern that I talked about in my 100 Days Sober from Alcohol video. There's a pattern where when you try to kick a habit, like if you try to kick your phone use, that's a good example, because phone use and scrolling is my biggest problem area, where like that's what I'll do to just fill in the space, and I'll be on there all day into the night, first thing in the morning, just filling the space with that scrolling. And sometimes I'll snap and be like, I gotta put this away, and I'll put my phone away, and then there's all this pain and discomfort, and I want to get back on my phone so bad. It's like my brain is begging me for it. My mind is telling me every which reason of why I need to get back on my phone to fill the space, and it's getting so uncomfortable. But what I've noticed is, if I push through for long enough, and with the phone, sometimes it's literally just 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, that intense anxiety and discomfort will pass, and what's on the other side It's like walking through a door. What's on the other side is that peace and tranquility. And things will slow down, and I'm like, oh. All I had to do was get through that uncomfortable period, and now there's this peace and this stillness and silence. And this kind of applies with all of these consumption habits. Like with drinking or smoking, there's this withdrawal period where you really want to fill that space again. It's like you don't want to sit in the void for some reason. The void is so scary. It's scary to just sit with yourself. So you want to drink, you want to smoke, you want to fill that space with, 100 things. There's 100 things you could fill it with. Binge eating, dating, excessive dating. You could fill it with other people. All this stuff. But it does seem to me that pushing through and getting to the other side leads to this release. So one thing that I've committed to doing in 2025 is taking a big withdrawal, a big retreat from my phone and from scrolling every single night. So around 8 p.m., unless I have night plans and I need to be with my phone, of course, around 8 p.m. every night, I want to put that thing away and stay off until after my next morning's meditation session. And I've done this for a couple nights so far, and it's really, really difficult because all day I get into that habit and that zone of excessive consumption, and I'm working and things are happening and I'm engaged and plugged in with the world and all of this. So then when I turn off my phone and put it in a drawer, I'm like having withdrawals. Like I don't know what to do with myself. I want to be on it so bad. But on both of these nights where I've done this so far, again, like I was saying, I'll make it through that literally by forcing it. By literally forcing it and sitting there through the discomfort. There will come a moment where that discomfort and that tension dissipates. And then it's like, oh, I can take a deep breath, like something at the core of my being relaxes. And when I'm in that place, I find it so silly how I forget about it all the time. I'm like, how did I forget? It's so simple. This is where I want to be. And as I've been really working on this very intensely, I'm actually finding that this place of stillness, it sustains. Like I'm finding it sustaining longer and longer into my day. Like even when I'm going on my phone and doing work and emails and things are happening and there's all this input and output, I'm finding that sometimes that stillness actually remains. I'm still able to hear those silent sounds, those birds chirping. I'm able to feel my feet on the ground. I'm able to be here. So I'm trying to cultivate that more and more and hopefully get to a point where it's really permeating my life most of the time. And I'm able to handle anything from that peace, from that place of peace. I think I have a long way to go and a lot of work to do personally. And what I see is that the way there is to continue to have discipline. I think it's that simple, is to continue to put my phone away at 8 p.m. or stay off alcohol and push through those uncomfortable moments when I really want to go out and drink in order to be more social, especially for me. At nighttime when I really want to smoke weed in order to unwind, I just have to sit there and practice discipline and get through it until I feel that release. And that's when I'm reminded. It's like these little reawakenings all the time. I'm like, oh yeah, the salvation wasn't in this phone. It wasn't in the next post as I'm scrolling. It wasn't in the drink or the smoke. It was right here within me in this peaceful moment. So that's going to be my effort going forward, to continue cultivating that. And I think it's so interesting why, I should probably put the lid on this thing. It's so interesting why we're so afraid of that empty void and that stillness and that peace, because it seems like once we actually make it there through that discomfort, it's like everything that we needed, that we thought we were going to get in the smoking and the drinking and the scrolling and having the headphones and the music in all the time. And what we're actually looking for is found in those moments of stillness. So it's curious why we're so afraid of just taking a pause and letting the space be, instead of trying to stuff it full of things. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.